So the winner of the Hot Shot giveaway has been decided, and I'm not going to name names, but it was originally going to go to someone other than who ultimately wound up winning, until I realized that the person in question had entered multiple times under different emails. If you're going to try and cheat like that, maybe don't use multiple emails with near identical names. As always, I wish I could have given every one of you who entered something, even the cheaters, but there was only one copy to give. And it's going to Alvin Ball 4. Congratulations, man. I always feel like when it's one of my fans who I've gotten to know well, or who has helped me before who wind up winning, people are just going to go, he's picking his favorites, this isn't fair. And then I have to remind myself that literally since the start of my channel, I've gotten to know thousands of you. Obviously some better than others, but I can't have a freak out every time that someone who watches every one of my videos wins one of these, because they are like probably half of all the entries in my giveaways. Now for the video, I don't know if I've been putting this off or if I've just been forgetting, but man, Legacy Chase kind of sucks. But first, your likes! Please give and maybe subscribe. Words hard, figure bad. I know that this toy is going to mean a lot to a lot of people because there is a huge number of kids who grew up with this show, and there are a concerning number of adults who are like, yes, I am 46 and watched the show for babies. It's very good. I don't believe you. Flat out. I will never believe you. It is a show meant for 3-year-olds. So fuck off with your Bluey and you can keep your rescue bots. I have more mature media to experience, like 90s comic books. I am having the hardest time saying that with a straight face. But anyways, yeah, you are not going to catch me with nostalgic feelings for this character. All I know about this dude is what is currently spinning before me. And what is on the table in front of me looks like a gnome that needed to lay off the butter from the front, and an anorexic dude sticking his face through a cardboard standee of Chef Boyardee from behind. This guy is more gappy than a dentist's nightmare from the back. It looks more like a scaffold with a head and legs than it does a dude, and you may be like, who displays their figures from behind? I don't know, someone who likes to have their figures in dynamic battles, or anyone who actually wants to play with their toys and not have them sat on a shelf for all eternity? This guy's problems aren't helped by his neck, which is so recessed into his torso he looks like he was told that he could be anything when he grew up, so instead of becoming a cop, he became a worm. I just look at this and the only noise that comes to my mind is ugh. That's not to say that none of this looks cool. Honestly, if his neck were just a bit longer, I'd say he's decently dope from the front, with some nice colors and good sculpting. This really could work as an evergreen Barricade, which before getting this figure in hand, I figured I would love, because let's be real here, every time they make him just a Prowl recolor, because Guido Guidi did a fan art one time, I feel the tender fingers of Hasbro in my brain as they try to squeeze the blood vessels in there until they pop and give me an aneurysm. But then this figure showed up, and every last time I tried to handle it, my reaction was always, that's about as disappointing as getting socks for Christmas when you're 10. Real talk, it is a sad day in life when you are super happy to get socks for Christmas, and I have long since passed that point. Fuck. Getting older sucks. You become happy about dumb things and no one tells you how quickly your body starts to hurt. I was expecting 40 to be the beginning of the decline. Nah, 28 kids, feel fear. The suck starts way sooner than people let on. But hey, I'm talking to Rescue Bots fans. You got like 20 years before you have to worry about that. Or you've already been dealing with that for like 20 years. Why are you watching a baby show? What was I even talking about before the depression kicked in again? Oh yeah. There is nothing satisfying about handling this thing. The joints are all fine? Question mark? They seem to have enough hold, but they aren't great to move. There is something very lackluster about the hand feel of them. And anytime you touch the arms, this little joint takes it as an invitation to come along for the ride. Also, you'd be amazed at how in the way his little chicken wings are. These have somewhere between 0 and negative clearance. So not only are you dealing with a dancing shoulder joint anytime that you want to move these cancerous things, but they're also going to lightly crash into these bits like a driver who passes out behind a cop car while at a stoplight. And then for some reason, uniquely the right arm gets stuck and has to click past something to move if I want to bend the elbow at all. It just sucks to handle, and the head is not for me. Once again, I am sure that the Rescue Bots Brigade is really thrilled with the way that this is so faithful, but to me, this is extremely awkward and off. It doesn't fit the aesthetic of the rest of the body in a pretty brutal way. It blatantly looks like a little kid took the dome from a different toy altogether and then stuck it here because they thought it would be fun. And that would be fine to do for a little kid or a customizer. But here, it's an official product, and I can't even begin to describe how bad this looks to me. He looks like 3 goblins in a trench coat trying to pretend to be a cop. The visor is nice, you know me, shiny thing good. So I love the metallic paint they used. I just wish it wasn't attached to a head this wide with that jaw. Seriously, narrow this up a bit, give it a little more of a neck, and fix the steam shovel he has for a lower face, and this would be so much better. The dude is not bulkhead, so what is going on? I might have been too subtle about this, but maybe you picked up on the fact that I am not a fan of this robot mode. The head is probably the core problem with the way it looks. With it so inset and recessed, it has taken what could have been a decently proportioned figure and made it look like a Looney Tune who had an anvil drop on their head. He's so squat and hunched, he either has extremely bad posture, or he has the build of Danny DeVito. And from behind, he's hollow like the donuts he must devour because stereotypes. But even if I liked the way this looked, I would not like messing with it. The quality does not appear to be a concern, however, it is just clashy and unfun to the touch. He comes with several accessories. I guess these are wrist guns, and they're pretty good. But then he has the claw. This does not really articulate because of how the prongs are attached, and the way you stick it onto the hand offends me on a deep and personal level. But I can't really call this a bad accessory, even if I wanted to have some pinching action, though it has cracked slightly, so the longevity of this part is in question. So even if I want more out of the claw, these are good accessories. However, I have said it time and again that accessories are not what sells a figure. They are a bonus to one. But then we get to the worst aspect of this thing. The one that might be what has ruined any goodwill I had towards this thing from the beginning. It is entirely possible that I would have been a hell of a lot more positive about this figure up until now were it not for the articulation. Head has slightly more down than normal, a normal rotation, and a twinge of side to side. Then this has the shittiest, most garbage, trash unworthy of wiping my asshole with shoulders I've ever seen since becoming a reviewer. Significantly less than 90 out to the side, which you can fake for straight up, but no ranges in between. But then, get this, because of the brain-dead joint design, no outwards range on the arms. There is nothing here. This will snap off before he does anything other than the Frankenstein. You have to fake it with the shoulder rotation, and it's all clashier than shit thanks to the bracket and the back wings, and even then, you don't have most of the ranges you want. These shoulders are agonizing to use. Anytime I try to get anything out of them, I get pissed the fuck off. My blood boils at how bad these joints are. Normal 90 elbows, narcissorists, legs are extremely unimpeded forwards, they're unimpeded going out to the side, and they have basically no backwards whatsoever. Normal 90 knees and feet with a slight rocker in and a massive rocker in the wrong direction, plus heel down. So most of this is pretty average, and then you get to the shoulders and I am incensed by these. They are enough to ruin the whole figure on their own. The rest of this review could have been fully positive, and I would still tell you to not waste your money on this because of the stupid fucking shoulders. I hate this joint with the burning passion of a million toddlers just told to finish their vegetables. And then the transformation is almost really good. The legs are doing some pretty interesting stuff. There are some satisfyingly different ideas here. The way the bumper comes together is super cool. I like rotating the entire torso down to meet with the shins, and then it is just so needlessly over difficult to get the stupid drumsticks from his backpack to peg in where they're supposed to go. I should not have to wrench on these parts this hard to get them into place. I'd say it's mostly a really cool transformation that sadly ends on a sour note. But then the alt mode is very good. This is absolutely by far the best aspect of this figure. The biggest complaint I can muster is that the back of the car looks a little ropey. But outside of the fact that it looks like the trunk is popping open a bit, this is almost flawless, and pretty cool looking to boot. It rolls a little roughly, but had the rest of the figure bent to this quality, I would not want this thing's head staked on a pike outside my front door. Hell, I would have recommended it. As it stands, however, I'd say that you should really think twice about buying this. The look of the robot mode is jacked up by the lack of the neck, even if you like the way the head looks. I personally find it to be deeply off-putting because of the aesthetic clash of the whole endeavor, but I understand why you might not feel that particular way here. However, I think that the neck may be the great equalizer in this instance, where it looks weird to absolutely everyone. But then the figure is just so unfun to handle thanks to those awful shoulders. They aren't like Legacy Tarn's ones where they look bad in every pose because of how they're mounted. No, instead they just fight you to the death on every pose you want to put them in, and more often than not, they are beating you. These things are miserable to try and work with, and they just make me so stupidly angry. Who thought these were a good idea? Can we find them? I would like to go find them. Then the transformation is hampered by the final step, but overall is a pretty good experience, and then the alt mode is pretty great. But as I said earlier, I think that the shoulders do enough damage to the whole thing to just make it so unworthy. But before we go, let's thank a patron. And this time it's Neb with first edition Prime Bumblebee. I know not what makes this first edition, and from the pictures it looks incredibly small, but that just makes it all the more impressive with how much this thing seems to be doing to get to that robot mode. Yes, I've never been a fan of the aesthetic of Prime, but I respect game when I see it, and this is achieving impressive amounts. A pretty amazing showing, even if he's not a human V or even a human Y, but more of a human T. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.